Let's look at a couple of problems that are going to help you review for the quiz that you have today. So if I'm looking at this diagram, I'm given that the ray ST is perpendicular to the line PQ. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight. So the ray ST and the line PQ. So notice how those two are intersecting, and with the perpendicular aspect of it, it intersects to form right angles. So notice that angle PST is a right angle. So notice that there's two smaller angles that are forming that right angle. So think about that. The other thing is that over here, the angle of QST is also a right angle. So in this case, we have two right angles based off the given that we have perpendicular, well, a line and a ray perpendicular to each other. All right, my next given. I'm told that angle QSR, so if I follow the letters, QSR is over here on the right. That is 3x plus 25. I'm told that the angle of RST, so follow the letters, that's this one over here, that is 6x minus 7. We're told that the angle of WST, so follow the letters, that's this angle right here, is 2x plus 33. In our first thing, they want us to find x. So, even though we have three expressions, all of them with x, we are not going to be able to use every single one of those expressions in order to help us find x. Notice that on the right-hand side, angle QSR and angle RST, those two angles are forming one of my right angles. So those two angles are complementary. That's what I want to focus on. I know that complementary angles add to a 90-degree angle. So I just want those two angles to add up to 90. So right now, the 2x plus 33 is not going to help us find x. So now I'm going to start combining like terms. 6x and 3x is 9x. We've got negative 7 plus 25. So that's going to give us 18. That equals 90. I'm going to subtract 18. And that's going to give us, what, 90 minus 18 is going to be 72. And then divide by 9. And so our first answer, x equals 8. So we just did step number 1. Okay. In part number 2, they're asking for us to find the measure of the angle PSW. Well, if I highlight it in blue, even though part of it looks green now, that small angle PSW, which does not have an expression, that is what we want to find. I cannot make up an expression, so please don't make that an x. But that's why they gave us this expression here of 2x plus 33. Remember, angle PSW, which is what I want to find, plus the angle of WST, those two are also forming a right angle. So if I can find the measure of the angle WST, I can subtract that from 90, and that will get me the answer that I'm looking for. So the measure of the angle WST is going to be 2 times 8, now that we found out what x was in part 1, and then I'm going to add 33. Well, 2 times 8 is 16. 16 plus 33 tells us that we have a 49-degree angle. But remember, that's not my answer. The measure of the angle PSW comes from us basically subtracting from 90. We're finding the complement. So when I subtract 49 from 90, I get the answer to be 41 degrees. All right, so we just found out that this angle is 49. We found out that this angle is 41. What they're asking for now in part 3 is the ray SW. So let me highlight that in a different color. So SW, this purple ray, is that perpendicular to this ray of SR? So in order to be perpendicular, we have to have a right angle. So I want to know if the angle WST and the angle of RST, if together they add up to 90. Well, we already know that angle WST is 49 because we had to find that in part 2. So in part 3, let's find the measure of the angle RST. So I get to substitute in 8, because that's x, into that expression of 6x minus 7. Well, 6 times 8 is 48, and I subtract 7 from it. That gives us a 41-degree angle. So once again, if I add those two angles together, we have a 49-degree angle plus a 41-degree angle. Notice that that's going to add up to a 90-degree angle. So the question is, are those two rays perpendicular? And so, yes, the ray SW and the ray SR are perpendicular. And the reason why is because we were able to get a 90-degree angle by finding the measure of those two smaller angles and seeing if it created a 90 degrees. And we just justified that it did. All right, so there's that first problem. Let's do one other example. So here I have a diagram. I'm given the following. I'm given that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. So I'm going to mark it in my picture. Angle 1 and angle 2 get the same markings. I'm also given that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. So we want to know, what can we conclude? Well, in the given information, notice that angle 1 was stated twice. It's a common link because notice that in my picture, all of the angles are marked the same. So my conclusion can be that angle 2 is congruent to angle 3. And what makes those two congruent through that common link? Well, our reason is the transitive property. Okay, so you will have some problems on the quiz dealing with drawing conclusions. You will have some algebra problems. So hopefully this was a good review to help you out. Good luck on the quiz.